ladies and gentlemen, to a director's talk regarding the first feature competition here at the Tallinn Black Nights Film Festival. 2 world premieres that we are going to talk about. And the first one that we are going to talk about is actually the world premiere of Marriage, a Kosovarian-Albanian co-production, and director is here with me, Blerta, Zeqiri.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, and next to you is Isabel Prahl from Germany, presenting her first feature, Different Kinds of Rain. Very glad to have you here in Tallinn.
Thank you.
You can leave your microphones, by the way, just open. That's
Okay.
that's the perfect thing. So just before we start, I would like to add that your film will have its world premiere at 6 o'clock. So this is the chance for all viewers here online to get their last tickets for the world premiere, which will take part, or which will be held in Solaris Cinema, as well as yours at 9 o'clock in the evening. Yes, you are both in the first feature competition. You are both female filmmakers born in the 70s. And one might say both films deal with pressure within the social framework in which the characters live in. The family, but also the bigger social framework. But this is about it, very different films, and I don't want to tie them together too closely. Instead, I would like you to give both an initial statement, what drove you, what was the inspiration towards your films. Please start, Blerta.
My film, The Marriage, it's a film that I wanted to do since a long time. So we were working on this film since 5 years now. And it talks about a guy that decides to get married even though he is gay, but it's the social pressure that makes him kind of decide to go in the closet, even though his heart tells him to do something completely different. And it's something that in my country happens a lot. At the time when we started to do this film, in 2012, when we had the idea and we started to write the script, there was not even one gay man that was living openly in our society. Mm-hmm. Now it changed. We have like 2 or 3 maybe, but it's still very early on. So it was something that really, I had like an urge to do something like this. This film actually, because I don't know, for me I just can't understand why love is forbidden, you know. I just can't understand that. So that was something that I wanted to tackle in this film.
Mm-hmm. We will talk a bit more, of course, about your film in a moment, but first to Isabel, the inspiration towards your film, Different Kinds of Rain, there is one might say, a phenomenon that is known in Asia or in Japan called the hikikomori, or people who shut themselves in, who separate from their closest friends, from family, and just are not to be seen anymore. And this is what we have in your film as well. Was this Asian phenomenon a direct inspiration, or where did you start?
Yeah, this was an inspiration because hikikomori, I think in Japan they first wrote about it, and there's this term. And but in Europe you have a lot of children or young adults as well who shut themselves indoors, inside of rooms. Yeah. And and it's we had the feeling that it's becoming more and more, and we thought it's very interesting because I mean, why is it like this? Yeah, it's because of all the pressure you have to deal with in everyday life. You have to, they're like all your Facebook friends, or, you know, you're so connected, always you have to send and get messages and be connected to everybody. But actually it's like, we feel like a lot of people feel very isolated. How can that be? And so this is like a strong, I would say, like a big theme in this film. Actually, it's about being isolated.
Or communication.
And communication, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We will talk a bit more about the film, of course. Let's come back to The Marriage at first. So, if I understood it right, there are 2 or 3 people living openly gay lives now in society, in Kosovarian society, not more. Male, yeah.
We don't have a lot of problem with female.
Okay.
But, with lesbian and trans female to male. We don't. It's not a big problem, I think, in our society, but male it's big.
Yet this film is, it is of course an auteur work. It's independent in its approach, but it got financing from the Kosovarian Film Center. So is there a kind of change that you perceive that films like that could be financed, that there is a need, an urge, a wanting within society to talk more about the topic? Was it the right time when you came up with it?
I think it was the right time in the sense that our cinematography center at that time had just started to change and to become more open to the world and to the ideas, to other ideas. And now, since that time, they did a really good job. So I think it was very important that they supported us, but. It's not the you know, it's not what happens in the society really. This is like an exception, you know, our cinematography center. It's it's something that is working really well.
Okay,
So,
so just to get the bigger picture, would you say conservatism is growing, or is it is there a development to a more liberal perception of life right now?
Definitely now. I think we can see some improvement because it was really closed in the big. As I'm saying, when I started to write this film, I started to make this film because of a great friend of mine who had exactly this pressure. Even though this guy was really open, all the friends knew and stuff, but he was not like openly out there because of his family, because they didn't want him to do that, you know. So he was kind of telling me that you have to make a story about people that are getting married now, because he was finding it very difficult to be a gay man in the society because he was not married. He couldn't get he couldn't get a relationship, a stable relationship, because he was saying people are scared of me because I'm not in the social norm of the others. So they are kind of scared of me because I can blackmail them if they break up with me, they fear the gay man, because most of them live in a marriage in Kosovo. So they kind of they were fearing him, you know. So for him, it was either to leave the country or to get married. And I think he was seeing it as the society was, because he was saying that after the war, the society started to open up. And then 10 years after, it started to close again. And that was his biggest fear. And then he left the country. But in the meantime, a lot of things happened. And things have started to change. And I think we see a little bit of change and light now in this topic.
Now there are two ways I want to go. The first one would be directly after what you said, like it seems then to do this kind of film is still a courageous choice, is something that will provoke an intense reaction, hopefully a positive one. This is also true for your actors, I suppose, who are marvelous, who are great. They will be with you at the premiere. But tell us a bit about how you found your team, you know, playing Berim and Anita, the couple who's about to wed, and Noel, the musician, who's, I read that, Noel, the actor of Noel, is actually a musician. Yes. So tell us a bit more about the framework of your actors.
We decided for the main actors of the film since the beginning, when we only had the script. So it was very important for us when we were casting to find people that are really open to do this with all their heart, you know. And that's how we found the three main actors. And then we worked together even during the script, because we would write a draft of script and go and exercise and then improvise and film and go back and rewrite. And it was like this, the process. I think they were very courageous, because at the time when they accepted to do this film, they knew that their lives can be, they can have life threats and everything, you know. But they wanted to do it, and I'm really grateful that they did. Now we started to promote the film and the fact that we're coming and we're having the premiere in Tallinn Film Festival in our television shows. And there are some immediately people on internet and social media started to I can't find the right words, but like to use a really some kind of hate speech toward the main actor, you know, the guy that was talking. So I don't know, but now we don't know yet because the film was not shown in our country yet.
Sure.
So now it's just, you know, there are some people that don't like the theme that we're, you know, that it deals, the film deals. So they talk. I don't know, but people are saying, people that work in human rights and stuff in our country are saying that now it's not that big of a problem. So all the hate stays in social media. So I hope it is like that. And
Well, I mean, it's definitely a time when all over the Western Hemisphere liberal values are questioned ever more. So we are extremely happy to have the film here and to promote this openness, this emotional openness that it transmits. Another topic of that is, and we see that at the very beginning of your film, are the wounds of war. You know, the wounds of not being open towards change and to many lifestyles of living is connected within your film towards the Kosovarian War and its aftermath of 1999. So this was extremely important to you to also talk about it. How much, to give it a bigger picture, how much was this a backdrop in recent Kosovarian cinema, or is this also something that needs to be explored further, and therefore you implied it?
Definitely, there's room to explore a lot, but I think it was really. You cannot escape war in Kosovo, even though the war happened like 17 years ago. But it's still very, very present in our lives and in the way we live. And I mean, everybody was changed by it. And it was necessary to have that. And there is one phrase in the film that I think that I took completely from what my friend, the one that pushed me to make this film, let's say, that inspired me to do this film, he said, you know, if there is one thing that could bring together Kosovo Albanians and Serbs, that would be the war against us, you know, because they are together in this one, you know. And I think that kind of, I don't know, explains a lot about how the situation is.
There is another thing that I want to talk about, and that is structure. Your film combines the different time levels and the time frames, not giving us a structure of going forward always, but jumping back in time, giving us background information on the different characters, and even going back to that time of 1999 when the two men have first met during that time. So I wanted to give us a few hints or a few key facts on how you structured and how you wanted to structure the film.
It was very hard for me to write this film, first of all. So we took a lot of time in writing process, and during that time I started to fall in love with TV series, and I've watched some that, I don't know, kind of opened my mind, because I felt that I was like a lot into cinema, and I was not watching what was going on, some other things. So I think this fact that, you know, to go backwards and to be bold and to do that, you know, I don't know, to do those kind of flashbacks, it was something that I was really inspired by the TV series and by, I don't know, by the reality that they have now, you know, nowadays.
Horizontal storytelling that gives you ample possibilities.
And also, thanks for telling me. I mean, for reminding me. But and also, it's the fact that I love books and stuff, and I think, you know, sometimes when you tell, I don't know, just the way you tell a story. Don't talk about books maybe, but just when you tell a story, you start to tell something, and then you need to tell some kind of background information about that, and you do it so naturally. And in film, that is very hard to pull off, you know. And I did my best. I hope people will enjoy what I did, but I tried to do that, like to tell a story by going back and forth and whatever we needed to do to tell the story, like, you know, like bits and pieces, and because I think that's how the memories are also, you know, and yeah.
Okay. So Isabel, on to different kinds of rain. Well, there's one artistic choice that you made, that basically the door in which this boy is hidden behind is never to be opened. We don't see the boy, which is a strong decision. This is your film is a film of strong artistic choices, of a very decided framework of, be it in the images, be it in the sound design, be it in composing with the actors within the frame. So how did you know at the very first moment, this is like the key decision I want to make? It's just an invisible person there? Or was it like 2 years into the writing process that you decided about that?
No. We actually, I mean, we were discussing it a lot. If we just tell the story from the point of view of the family in front of the door. And we were, I mean, it was a big discussion. Shall we see the son? Do we have to explain why? But then after a while, we were very sure about it too, that we thought it's very strong to tell the story of the family in front of the door. And if you talk to people who really like have at home his son locked in a door, in a room, you know that, I mean, the hardest thing is that they don't know why. I mean, if you would open the door and would just tell them, I don't want to participate in everyday life anymore because of this and that, and he tells you reasons why, it would be maybe much easier, but I think the very hard decision is because he doesn't speak with them anymore. He doesn't let them know why. So we decided we really want to, it's a strong decision, and we want to tell this story of the family in front of the locked door.
Now you need obviously amazing actors for that, because this is all about personal facades cracking. We're talking about a bourgeois family that doesn't understand what's basically happening, and suddenly they have to confront themselves. This is like a mirror on what's themselves. So all the framework of the family cracks, and they really have to find out who they are. So Bjarne Mädel was in 24 Weeks that played Berlinale, I guess 1.5 years ago, and that's where he showed his dramatic side.
Yeah.
The acting process of having Bjarne Mädel must have happened around the same time with you. Before he was more on the comedic side, I would say, you know. But to show his dramatic side, you give him wonderful opportunities here. This is equally the same thing for Bibiana Beglau and Emma Barding. Wonderful opportunities for them as well. Did you write with them in mind, or some of the actors, or one of the actors as a key element that you wanted to have?
It's a difficult question. I mean, the process of writing. I mean, I didn't write the script. It was Karin Kaci, but we.
I'm sorry, Karin Kaci wrote the script.
Yes.
This is really. I'm
But
sorry
we-
for that.
but
But
we-
still,
but
the
we
concept
worked, but we worked
Thank you.
very
Yeah.
closely together.
Sure.
So and I mean, while you are in this process, you start thinking about the characters, and you're thinking about the actors. I think the first one I had in mind was Bibiana Beglau, because I really would, she's a great actress, and then what I liked is that she is not the so typical mother, like a typical mother, and I like that very much, to play with, because it's like you have this family who care so much about the son, and it's not so. I really wanted to make sure that this is a loving family, but it's not stereotypes. So, and I really try to work against stereotypes, I think.
The only means of communications, by the way, are like little pieces of paper on which the boy he slides it through the door or underneath the door, and there are like little comments on the weather somewhere. We don't know where, but you combine it with videos that seemingly come out of the internet. So this is footage that you combine with the footage we have in the film that you found on the internet, I suppose. Was that easy to do?
No, it was very hard to. I mean, there's so much rain on the internet.
There's rain on the internet. It's raining all the time on the internet.
I don't know. We were watching so many YouTube videos. It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, people have the idea. Oh, it's raining. I'm filming it. I couldn't understand it, and we found wonderful pieces. But it was very hard to get the rights because sometimes it's hard to find out who filmed it, who put it on the internet. So that was a hard process. But it was a fun process, and I didn't know that so many people film rain.
On the other hand, talking about the camera, this is also, you made big decisions there, which, as if I recall it right, the biggest decision might be an extreme chiaroscuro, meaning that you have the people moving as shadows nearly often enough. There's a lot of black and white, a lot of shadow on the people. So this was a very, this is a dark world within this house, huh? Isn't it?
Yes, yeah, because we wanted to tell, because it's a loving family, it was important for us, but we wanted to tell that the home get really tight,
claustrophobic.
Yeah,
claustrophobic, yeah.
And so this was a decision. I mean, I had a great cinematographer, Andreas Köhler, and we were really a lot of time. We were talking very often about the artistic. How do you say? Choices. So, and it was important that somehow you feel uncomfortable in this house, which is like a family house. There's no lack of anything. I mean, the children, they can do everything what they want. They can go dancing classes or playing the piano or do this and that. They go to having holidays, stuff like this. But really, it feels very uncomfortable at one point of the film.
So for me, this is really about touch, human touch that doesn't function anymore between people, about distance between bodies that suddenly seems awkward and seems not right. They are all searching for their own space, you could say. So I would know a bit more about your technique working with the actors. There are different moments, of course. I could recall a sex scene between the couple, but I could also recall Bjarne Mädel as the man waking up in a hotel room and asking in the most awkward way for a glass of water because a woman is cleaning the room. These are very awkward scenes about the right distance towards other human beings. So just one anecdote, what you tried to put into their bodies, what they should play, and how you did it.
This is a hard question.
No, but you have a working technique as a director there. This was essential towards your film.
Yeah, that's true. But I think, in my opinion, it's like, I mean, these are three main characters, and they are different characters. So I think with each of them, I kind of like experience like my own technique. But it has to do with because they're human beings, and I think directing is about communication, and it doesn't have to be with words. So sometimes you have to tell people, go faster, do this or that, but it's about a feeling and to build up like a, how do you say, like a connection somehow. So for me it's hard to say I got this one technique I use to direct this film. I mean, we talked a lot about the characters, and this is always important because they really have to feel the story and the situation and their characters.
Still, I'm thinking
Yeah.
about this glass of water scene, saying like colder. It has to be colder, while this woman is really cleaning the room, and he wants this glass of water from her. Of course, this was written by or was in the script, but it was emphasized on set by you. Or how did this evolve? It's really a very special scene to
It
me.
is. And it was a scene it was highly discussed all the time. And yeah, because it's a strange moment, but it's an important moment for the character. His name is Thomas. He's the father. And it was important for us, or for me, this scene, because it shows an ugly side of him suddenly, or maybe it's a bit ugly, but it also, now I have to say a German word, hilflos,
Helpless.
helpless, very helpless, and he turns out to be a bit mean, but in a very sad way, and it's very important, I thought, for the character, because other in a lot of, during the film, he does so much and he tries so hard, he struggles, but there he kind of loses it. Yeah, so for a moment. So it was important for his character, I think, to show another side. So
I think every character loses it and they find themselves anew in the end. There are many more artistic choices that are interesting, for example, the music of Hauschka and so on. But this is but to give the audience a hint of your films and to go to the cinemas and see the world premiere. So I would like to come back to both of you and ask you probably how you feel as working as female filmmakers today. The one thing that interested me this afternoon when I talked to colleagues and I found out is that a big part of the Kosovarian film industry are women, more than 50%. Is that true? Could you comment on that?
Yes. It's an amazing thing that is happening in Kosovo with the cinematography center, because I don't know, something happened, I don't know what, but the female directors, women directors, now, like in the last concourse, oh my God, in the last years, yeah, the funding that goes from the cinematography center, it went like maybe 50% to women directors, not because they had some kind of quota or something, but I suppose because they are working more. We are working more.
Harder workers. Okay.
I have an explanation behind this, because it doesn't make sense. In the whole world, it's this is dominated by male, and directors. And in Kosovo, where it's not that we have like this. It's not that we are that equal, males. The society is dominated by male also, but it's because I think in Kosovo, when you make a film, you don't make money. And the money in film and video industry is made on TV by doing commercials and stuff like this. And I think that is dominated by male directors and stuff. And we're here making the films. But it was really good, because I think this will change the stories that come from Kosovo, because I can see with my colleagues the films that they are doing and the films that are in production now, they are really, a lot of time they are more sincere, and we talk about topics of women also that were, up until now, women were in our cinema, in Kosovo cinema, were just, just like a prop. So now we have like more female characters that are like alive, and I think something very interesting is happening in our country because of this.
And great, it happens here with the world premiere right now that will take place in half an hour. Isabel, the same question to you. Do you think it's a good time to work as a director in the German film industry now? There are a lot of initiatives to promote women in the industry, but we're far away from a 50% quota, or 50% or over 50%.
Yeah, that's true. But in Germany, it's a big debate or discussion right now. about this issue, and yeah, and I think it's good because you know, you go. From my point of view, I mean, you go to film school, and there's maybe like 50% men and 50% women, but then in the last years or decades, I don't know, they were like just men, almost just men who work as directors. And so now it's a big discussion, and I think it's not so easy to find a solution for that, but it's good that, I mean, that everybody talks about it and they try to find like ways, because yeah, it's important that women tell their stories as well.
Yeah, and definitely you have very uncompromised characters, both female and male. All your characters are. These are wonderful films, and once again, the invitation goes out to the public to see the films. And I would like to thank you for being here with us in Tallinn. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.